of the brave and beyond, and a very warm welcome to your Wednesday morning edition of the Office's Ministries and Agencies Information Sharing Session. As always, we are coming to you live from the Government Information Center studio. For this morning's episode, I will be your host, Heleni Philippus Hamunyela. Now, for this morning's edition, we are talking the National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan, and I am joined in the studio by the Executive Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. But as is the norm, before I can officially welcome him to the platform, I'd like to pause here and extend a warm invitation to you, Namibia, to be part of this conversation. You can be part of the conversation by following the discussion on our social media platforms, where we are currently streaming this show live. Now on Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, or you can stream us live on our YouTube channel, and our handle there is MICT Namibia. Be part of this discussion by posting your questions or statements in the comment sections on both our social media platforms. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome our studio guest for this morning, the Executive Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Mr. Sikongo Hambo. Good morning, ED, and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Good morning, Heleni, and thank you for our viewers. I'm glad to be here this morning.
All right. Now, ED, as earlier mentioned, we are talking about the National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan. Maybe as we break the ice to this conversation, can you briefly explain the vision behind the Namibia National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan and what inspired this development?
Thank you very much. The rationale behind the Spatial Development Plan, I think for brevity, we're just going to say the Spatial Development Plan, right, is after Namibia realized that we were growing in terms of our tourism attractions. We recorded about 1.5 million inbound tourism around 2019. That was shortly before COVID-19. And COVID therefore hit us in 2020 as well as 2021. Mm-hmm. Around that time, we then recorded a slump from 1.5 million to 460,000 inbound tourism. We recovered a little bit around 2023 to around 863,000. Mind you, from 1.5 million in 2019 to 863 in 2023. What was then realized was that when the inbound tourism figures were good, that's now around 1.5, we experienced what is referred to as over-tourism. Over-tourism, although it may sound like it is a good thing, yes, it's good in terms of numbers, but it has got a negative effect on the pressure that it puts on specific areas of concentration. Over-tourism happens, for instance, if I may explain it through an example, when you have the majority of the tourists only visiting one or two tourism destinations, like for instance, Etosha. Can you imagine Etosha receiving, for instance, 1.2 million? It may sound like the 1.5 is spread across the entire Namibia. Right. The ecosystem in Etosha would therefore be put under a lot of strain. And ecologically, you would want to maintain a balance. That is why, therefore, it was felt that Namibia is a vast country. It's 825,000 square kilometers. And therefore, there should be other areas where we can develop our tourism. The idea of the Spatial Development Plan was therefore born. What it basically looks at is to map the country. If you can just imagine Namibia on the map, and then you say, let us start with, for instance, the Zambezi region.
Right.
What can we do in Zambezi insofar as tourism is concerned? And then you go to the Kavango East, Kavango West, and the North Central regions, Kunene, etc., etc. You come to the central regions up until the south. In other words, it covers all 14 regions. So it's going to identify the potential that does exist in all those regions. From those potential, we are going to get business opportunities, tourism opportunities, where investment may be realized and where employment may also be created. So that is basically the idea or the rationale behind the Spatial Development Plan. Yes, it has got, it requires some support from other sectors as well, like for instance, the financial sector to step in and then provide the requisite funding, the road infrastructures that would be needed, the communication, etc., etc. Okay. But the long and the short is that, yes, we would want to map Namibia insofar as the opportunities for tourism are concerned and permit the Namibians to take up those opportunities.
All right. Now, Edie, you've mentioned in your response that over tourism. Can you perhaps speak to us about some of the places or the spots that were identified to have been put under pressure so that even in the near future we can, maybe redirect to go to other tourist attraction spots in the country, given that there are so many?
Yeah. I may cite two, the Sosos Fly, as well as the Etosha National Park.
Okay.
Those are what has been the most popular or the key destinations whenever we record the inflow of tourists.
All right.
What is also worth noting is that when we talk about tourism, the good thing is that contrary to the popular belief that the majority of tourists are from outside of the African continent. In fact, the leading markets are South Africa, Angola, we have Zimbabwe, we have Botswana, we have Zambia, yes, and then we have Europe. Here we're talking about Germany. We are also talking about the UK. And down there you have the US. And the area that we have to work on is the Asian as well as the Latin American and most probably the Middle East.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Edie. Now, Edie, how does this plan align with Namibia's broader national development plans or goals, such as your Vision 2030s and all the Harambee prosperity plans?
As we speak, I can confidently tell the nation that there is a direct alignment to the national programs. There's a direct alignment to the SWAPO Party Manifesto Implementation Plan, which is also incorporated, it's weaved into our plans.
Of course.
And therefore, we're looking at growth in employment creation. At the moment, the tourism sector employs about 57,000. That's now direct jobs.
Okay.
We're looking at by 2030.
7,000 jobs.
57.
Oh, 57.
57,000 direct jobs. Okay. We're looking at around 2030 to have grown this number to 80,000.
Right.
So therefore, the Spatial Development Plan is going to assist us in the realization of that aspiration.
Okay. Thank you, Edie. Now, what unique opportunities does this special plan unlock for Namibia's tourism sector?
The uniqueness of the opportunities lies in, and I'm anticipating now because the study is still being finalized, it's still being done, the cultural aspect, which is owned by Namibians. Obviously, nobody's going to bring that forward apart from ourselves. So it's going to provide us with that opportunity to appeal to the tourists. Number two, we're looking at conservancies. There are a number of conservancies in this country. We're talking about 42, and it's bound to grow. It provides that unique opportunities to the communities that are out there to participate in the tourism sector.
All right.
Those are two of the examples that I can cite at the moment.
All right. Thank you, Edie. Now, of course, shifting gears to sustainability and conservation, I'd like to find out how does the plan ensure that tourism development remains environmentally sustainable and benefit the local ecosystem?
The study, in terms of its requirements, will consider sustainability, because we do not want to have any adverse effect on the environment.
Right.
We would want sustainability to be embedded so that we hand over to posterity a beautiful country that is rich from its cultural, from its tourism, diversity,
Heritage,
moving forward. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So it is embedded and it's guaranteed.
All right. Now, Edie, I'm still sticking with conservation. I'd like to find out from you, are there any specific conservation models or ecotourism practices that are being promoted under this plan?
I don't want to sound preemptive,
Right.
because we are still at a stage where we are finalizing this plan.
Yes.
I can cite, for example, that consultations with key stakeholders started, and we have covered Ochuarongo, Katima Mulilo, Orundu, Oshakati, and then Ochuarongo once again, Windhoek, and the coast, Swakopmund, and today, as we speak, we are in Keetmanshoop.
All right.
Yeah, so therefore, through these consultations, ideas are going to be ventilated. They're going to be put forward for our consideration and then incorporation into the study. So therefore, without necessarily sounding too preemptive, the study in its nature will bring out all those opportunities that do exist in the respective regions of our country.
All right, Edie. Now, Edie, I'm taking you a little bit back because I'd like now to touch on the aspect of marketing, branding, and investment. I'd like to find out from you, how does the ministry then plan to market the new tourism zones, both locally and internationally? I know earlier on we've mentioned that there were two that were identified as over-tourism, pardon me. Yes, which is Tosha and then the Soseflei. What other zones are there identified, of course, as tourist attraction in the country? And how can we then, how does the ministry plan on, marketing these zones both locally and internationally?
No, thank you for that question, because I think it's important. Eventually, no matter the goodness of what's going to be unveiled in the study, you would need to have that implemented.
Right.
And marketing is such a tool that should enable the facilitation of the implementation of whatever plans that you may have.
Right.
The plan, the Spatial Development Plan, is going to come up with an implementation plan. But with regards to the implementation of the tourism attraction and facilitation, we do have our Namibia Tourism Board that is entrusted with the responsibility of the promotion of tourism in the country. In fact, as we speak, we are in constant consultations and contact with our agents, that's the Namibia Tourism Board, to just ensure that we move in tandem, because there's a lot also that they can bring to the plan, which is going to ease the implementation of the plan eventually. The aspect of investment, we also have the NIPDB.
Right.
NIPDB is cross-sectoral, they are cross-cutting, so they promote wherever investment is to be attracted to be facilitated both domestically as well as internationally.
Absolutely.
So we also have a close relationship. And the good thing is that we already have a tourism investment plan in place.
Right.
Here I have to appreciate our ambassador to France, who was very much instrumental in pushing for the promotion,
right,
for the promotion of tourism in our country, and we have already realized that this is gonna put us a step or two ahead insofar as implementation is concerned.
All right. Thank you so much, Edie, for that information. And now, Namibia, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned into an information sharing session. And as always, we are coming to you live from the Government Information Center studio. And for this morning's edition, I am your host, Heleni Felipos Hamunyela. Now, as earlier mentioned, this morning, I am joined in the studio by the Executive Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Mr. Sikongo Haihambo. And he's here to shed more light on the National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan. Now, Namibia, you too can be part of this conversation by joining the discussion on our social media platforms, where we are currently streaming the show live. Now, on Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, or alternatively, you can stream us live on our YouTube channel, and our handle there is MICT Namibia. I'm keen to hear from you. Post your contributions on our comment sections on both our social media platforms. Now back to the discussion here in the studio, Mr. Haihambo. I'd like to find out from you. I know that we are saying that the plan is still being reviewed and it's still to conclude. But I want to find out from you, thus far, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered as a ministry to ensure that this plan, gets off the ground?
The very first challenge that comes to mind is our wish to consult widely. Because here we're talking about the national, and when you say national, you would want to cover all corners of this republic.
Right.
And as it has been demonstrated, and it's not only when it comes to the National Special Development Plan, but consultations in general.
Right.
You are likely going to miss out on some critical or very important constituencies of your republic. Here, what I'm talking about is you may have your consultations taking place in Oshakati, for instance.
Right.
But there are people that are 200 kilometers away from Oshakati.
Absolutely.
And obviously, it then becomes a challenge for them to then attend and then be part of this.
And make their contributions.
Yes, and make their contributions. The same can be said about other centers. Yes, you take where you have the highest concentration of your population, but there's nevertheless that assurance that you have heard from everybody that would have wanted to participate because of the practical reasons. That would be the very first challenge.
Okay.
The second challenge is we are ambitious in terms of our implementation plan. Ambitious in the sense that we would want to have this plan concluded in the shortest time possible, but at the same time, you are therefore challenged with the comprehensiveness that you would want to bring to the plan. If you want to be comprehensive, obviously, you would want to give yourself more time. But unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time because we have to have it finalized and then implemented.
Right.
So, therefore, it is a matter of striking a balance between those challenges and then coming up with a qualitative document that would do justice to the spatial development for tourism in Namibia.
All right. Now, Edie, shifting gears to planning and implementation, of course, I just would like to find out from you, you partially touched on your key stakeholders, but I want to find out from you, How is the ministry coordinating with your local authorities, traditional leaders, as well as conservancies in implementing this plan? Projecting, of course.
When we go out there for consultations, as customary done, we inform the local leadership or the regional leadership. We engage them as far as we can, and if they are able to officiate for us, yes, considering that the challenges of time and availability, would always want to take hands with them, because eventually these developments are going to take place in their respective regions. Absolutely. And their support would be required moving forward at each and every stage of the development as well as the implementation. And it's also good to share the information so that some of these concepts that we are ventilating are actually understood and observed. And it's very important. Once they're understood, you then have an increased sense of ownership that would move towards the implementation as well as the monitoring. And we also would want to be held to account for some of these things that we are putting forward. What is the extent to which we're able to then implement that idea or that plan which we undertook to implement. So it's a matter of complementing one another.
Right.
What I would also like to state is that when the spatial component comes into your plan, you are actually looking at, it's like almost like stock taking. You also consider what is in existence already. Right. And then you map it. Because we're not only going to move towards the new or the yet to be identified opportunities, but where you have your tourism establishments, obviously they're going to be mapped. We are working with the Namibia Statistics Agency, if you may, pardon me if I did not mention that, because they have a unit within the Namibia Statistics Agency that deal with GIS. And they have been guiding us. They have assigned us some of their experts to work with us.
All right. And now, Edie, sticking on to conservation, what role does Namibia community-based conservancies play in this plan, or are projected to play in this plan? Because we are saying that the plan hasn't concluded yet. It's still under review.
Yeah. They are what I would term our core partner, one of our core partners. Their role is most probably not understood by many people, maybe because of the detachment of some of their activities from the general population, unless you are in the conservancy areas. But there is a lot of potential and a lot of benefits that are accruing to the members of the conservancies. I was talking about 42 conservancies, and that's bound to grow. And I would say that Namibia itself, in terms of its constitutional provision, we have protected areas that are protected and guaranteed in terms of our constitution, which constitutes about 17%. And 17% is no mean feat. And if you bring in the conservancies, this amount would then increase to 44. Internationally, the percentage that is required is about 42, if I'm not mistaken. No, 38%, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Therefore, Namibia is doing very, very well. We are receiving, increasingly receiving applications or requests for the establishment of conservancies. Right. And on the ground, we are also seeing the benefits that are accruing not only to the community members, but also to the environment, to the fauna and the flora, and the skills that are being imparted, employment that's also being created in the meantime. So therefore, I think Namibia has taken a very good decision, and we are looking at improving it, replicating it, so that more and more people can then benefit from there. And coming back to this spatial plan, if you may, the idea of the spatial development plan for tourism is not unique to Namibia. Namibia is not the first mover in this regard.
Absolutely.
We've got other countries that have got tourism spatial development plans in place already. Like, for instance, Mozambique, Botswana, I think Burundi, Nigeria, and further afield you have China as well as India. In regards to those ones, it's per province because of the vastness or the hugeness of their respective populations. So if Namibia would want to establish itself as a leader in tourism sector, we have to compete against the best, both on the continent as well as worldwide. Okay. I was fortunate enough to have attended a Transfrontier event for the conservation areas, where at SADC level, we have started, that is now at SADC, we have started to pilot what is called UniVisa. UniVisa facilitates the single entry into SADC, almost similar to what they have in Europe with the Schengen states, to make the facilitation and the movement of the tourists seamless, have them captive within SADC to avoid hopping. Hopping is where you would have a person coming, or a tourist coming to Botswana, maybe visiting the Makgadikgadi plan, and then fly out. One would then fly into Hosea Kutako, go to Etosha, and then fly out. We would want to facilitate them coming in from one country to the other, so that we maximize on their experience, and therefore grow as SADC, our tourism sector.
All right. Edie, you've mentioned something quite important to me, and I'd like to find out from you, benchmarking and leveraging on best practices elsewhere is really key in this, especially given that this is a new plan to Namibia. I'd like to find out from you, what countries or what nations has the ministry perhaps, consulted with to leverage and benchmark in that regard?
The countries that we're going to look at, first and foremost, is the neighborhood.
Okay.
We know that there are certain areas where we need to improve. The other day I attended an event where, for instance, Zimbabwe succeeded in tapping into the Asian market, to be more specific, the Chinese market.
All right.
And I was asking myself, why can't we do that? What are they doing over there in Zimbabwe, which is better, where we can learn from? Botswana has been holding its own, and South Africa has been a top destination for tourists on the continent. So one can always draw from those best practices. And the good thing is that they are members of SADC. You can therefore ride on the benefits of some of the neighboring countries lead in the tourism sector to benefit Namibia. What it also brings about is that you then have a rivalry within SADC. We want to cooperate, but there's still rivalry. We as Namibia would want to present the best experience for tourism, so that we can record the repeats insofar as tourist visitations is concerned.
All right.
So therefore, it is a positive trajectory that we have taken on as SADC, and I can see that we are going to benefit as a SADC and indeed as a continent.
All right. Okay, Edie, I'd like to now shift gears to monitoring, evaluation, and future outlook. I want to find out from you. Of course, we are saying that or keeping in mind, bearing in mind that the plan is still to be concluded, I want to find out from you, what indicators will be used to track the success of this plan?
The obvious indicators that one can look at are the ones that are provided for in our national programs. The number of employment created,
Right.
the number of tourism business established, the number of tourists coming in. And also next to that, apart from coming in, because there's a difference from coming in and exiting as soon as you can.
Right.
You would want them to dwell a little bit. You would want them to stay. You would want them to visit respective destinations within the country. Through that, you are adding on to their experience, but you are also providing them with the opportunity to invest, which is revenue that would be required for the growth of the respective businesses, as well as the creation or sustaining of the employment within the tourism sector. The beauty thereof is when one looks at our annual plan as OMAS,
right.
Naturally, you account yourself to what you have undertaken on an annual basis. You provide requisite funding. Yes, we know that funding is always a challenge, but your eyes will then be focused on the plans. And this is one of the plans that we'll be focusing on moving forward. Okay. The beauty thereof, if I may, is that we're going to be addressing over-tourism, but we're also going to create opportunities within the tourism sector that will benefit the Namibians. And even more specifically, that will benefit the youth. When we talk about tourism, it does not necessarily imply that it has to be a very huge investment that would be required. Even if, obviously, you may not have the requisite capital at that point in time, the financial viability may warrant that at least from the local market, there's some funding that will be availed, and it would allow you, therefore, to enter the mainstream of the business through tourism.
All right. Thank you, Edie. We are slowly but surely coming to the end of our discussion this morning, but I would like to find out from you, what is the timeline for the implementation of this important plan that we are talking about, and when can we expect that this plan be implemented? And of course, when can we expect to see the tangible, results on the ground?
I think it's a very important question that you are raising, because if you're having a plan, the plan must have a timeline.
Right.
This is a 10-year master plan, Spatial Tourism, Spatial Development Master Plan. It covers a period of 10 years. Okay. Yeah, 2025 to 2035. Oh. But within that, you are then going to have the immediate implementation plan, which is a period of 3 years. It's in tranches of 3 years. That is what the methodology is pointing at. Okay. Now, when one looks at the implementation period, you therefore have the monitoring and the evaluation mechanism also embedded in there. Right. So that from the word go, you are able to track whether you are leading or whether you are lagging. And when you are lagging, it provides you with the opportunity to correct the areas that would require attention in order for you to bring the plan on track moving forward. Yes, you have your inputs, you have your outputs, and you have your impact. Right. The impact is what's going to take us slightly longer to determine. But with regards to the inputs and the outputs, those are much, much easier, because by design, you are able to see X number going in, X number coming out. But then the impact would require another proper in-depth assessment as well. Now, we are working on this plan, and I was saying that, yes, we are very, very ambitious, and most probably within the coming 2 to 3 months, we should see the finalization of this plan. But if we reach a point where it's required that we need to go back maybe to cover a critical aspect that we may have omitted, or that we're going to require more time to have the plan validated, would rather stick towards doing and delivering a quality plan, as opposed to just rushing it and then ticking it. We may look bad in the short run, but in the long term, I think we'll be absolved that we did the right thing to eventually come up with a plan, because once this plan has been completed, it has been finalized, it has been adopted, then we will live with it for the coming 10 years.
All right. Now, ED, I'd like to get your personal insight on this one. I'd like to find out from you, as the ED of the ministry, what excites you the most about this special master plan?
Its comprehensiveness.
Okay.
And I'm always attracted to plans that are practical, that are implementable. And I can already see that this plan is going to be practical and it's going to be implementable. But besides that, this is going to move us forward insofar as the ambitions and the aspirations that are contained in our Vision 2030, as you mentioned in your introductory remarks. The NDP 6, which is also being finalized as we speak. There are colleagues at NIPAM that are validating NDP 6, and we can already relate what we're doing to NDP 6, but also the SWAPO Party Manifesto Implementation Plan. There's a complete alignment in that regard. And when one looks at the implementation, and you have that inner belief that this is going to come to fruition, to me, that is the end of it. I'm sold. So what's going to be required is for us to then manage the process moving forward, provide the requisite guidance, propagate, socialize, and market this plan, and then trigger the implementation in all regions to unlock the potential that does exist, as would be identified, for us to then give the opportunities, economic or business opportunities to the respective communities to participate. And through that, we're going to have the skills impartation, as well as employment being created, and attract even more tourists, so that we can then go above 1.5 million. And what I also did not mention to you is that we still do not have the figures for 2024. Yes, I may look bad, but we are busy finalizing that report. Absolutely. So that we can then see from 2022, when we were 460, to 2023, when we were at 863. Maybe 2024, if we are going to cushion around 1 million or above, slightly above 1 million. What we'd want is for us to put the recovery period post-COVID, recording the statistics, the figures, better than pre-COVID.
Okay.
So that is in anticipation, and we can always take that up and then see what the future holds.
All right, Ed. Thank you so much. Lastly, Ed, I'd like to find out from you, the last question is, what message would you like to share with the Namibian as a nation, Namibia as a nation, but also especially the youth, about the future of tourism in our country? Because we've spoken about, so much has been said about skills impartation and a lot of business creation and all that investment and what. What is your message to Namibia as a whole, and particularly to the youth?
Thank you for that question. And I think looking at the population demography of our country, the youth are in the majority. And when you speak to the youth, when you embrace the youth, when you provide opportunities to the youth, you are actually giving assurance towards the future of Namibia. What I would want to encourage the youth to do is to read up, to embrace tourism, and I'm saying embracing tourism, and so that we do away with the impression, or maybe at many a times we think that tourism is not for us.
Right.
There's that perception that is being
we are
created.
tourists in our own country.
Yes. we would want to ensure that we embrace this concept of tourism. There is inbound, what I was talking about when I was talking about 1.5 million and 800 and whatever.
Right.
That is inbound tourism.
Okay.
But when one talks about a tourist, the image that comes to mind is normally foreign, coming from Europe. They are dressed up in khaki, whatever,
Yes.
and they are driving the 4x4s, etc., etc. Yes,
Right.
that has its place. But domestically, how many of us have been to the Etosha National Parks?
Good question.
Yes, you may talk about, no, it's not affordable. No. When you pass through that gate, the charge, the fee that is asked is actually a very small fee. We are not necessarily implying that you must go and cover the entire country at one go.
Right.
But you can decide that I'm going to go to this destination and then to the other one, so that we get to understand and know our country
And enjoy
better.
our
And enjoy
own
it.
country.
This is a beautiful country. This is really a very, very beautiful country. Secondly, to aggressively explore business opportunities and participation in the tourism sector.
Okay.
That is important. Otherwise, we're going to remain outside. 35 years into our independence, we're still going to be like on the periphery of this. Thirdly, they should not hesitate to approach our agency, Namibia Tourism Board, or the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism for any information that may be required.
Okay.
And I think it's through the provision of information that you can then enrich yourself and then see what your area of interest would be like and what opportunities maybe you can capitalize on.
Absolutely, Edie. Edie, it was so, it was very nice, if I may say, chatting to you this morning. I enjoyed the conversation very much. I've learned so much. I now have this eager in me to also be a tourist in my own country, as they say, yes. And I would like to visit some of the tourist attraction spots in our country. Thank you so much, Edie, for taking time away from your busy schedule and to speak to the Namibian nation about the special tourism master plan. We really, truly appreciate you.
I thank you, Lenny. Thank you for having me. Thank you to our viewers.
All right. Now, Namibia, that concludes our brief discussion this morning at the GIC. We were talking about the National Tourism Special Development Master Plan. And I've been your host, Heleni Felepo-Samunyela, and my guest for this morning was the Executive Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Mr. Sikongo Haihambo. From myself, Heleni Felepo-Samunyela, and the entire GIC production crew, until next time, take care.